Okay, now let's move on with the marketing mix variables. This week we are going to discuss the product decision. Okay, and the next modules will focus on the rest of the marketing mix variables. Okay, now let's have a look at the first one. Before we move on, I just want to highlight to you that the positioning strategy that we design is basically the promise that we convey for the customers. Okay, and we got to deliver that promise for the customers. All right. The second thing I'd like to highlight to you in terms of positioning is basically it is actually a trade-off. A strategic trade-off, if you like, where if you decide to offer something, that means you promise to deliver that, and in saying that, you actually promise not to deliver the others. Okay, let's say if you promise to deliver a premium positioning for the customers, that means you promise for the customers you are not going to deliver budget promise for the customers. Okay, from the customer perspective, they are also making a trade-off in their purchase decision. If they come to you, that means they need to be ready that it is going to be a premium brand. That means they need to prepare to be prepared with the pricey product that you're going to offer. Okay. Now that promise has to be supported by marketing mix variables. Okay, that promise is something in the consumer's mind. It is still the idea in the consumer's mind. It is still in the consumer's mindset. Okay, about the positioning. It has to be delivered by your marketing mix variables. All right. So here we are going to discuss the first one: product decision. Right. In the beginning of our discussion in week one, in module one, we discussed that the definition of marketing published by the American Marketing Association used the term market offering instead of product. The reason for that is because to satisfy customers' need, it takes more than just physical goods. Right. The term product may be associated to physical goods. Therefore, we use the term market offering. Now, actually, if you zoom into product, it contains the goods, services, and ideas as part of a product that we can design for the customers, right? And in today's marketing landscape, where the market out there is so competitive, marketers would normally offer something to in that attempt to differentiate themselves. Therefore, aside from the physical goods that they offer, they may also design their services, right, to differentiate themselves. Okay. Now, so what is services? It is the intangible result of human and mechanical efforts to people or objects. Okay. In other words, service is an activity or benefit that is basically intangible that we offer to meet customers' need. Okay. All right, so we also have the what we call as the total product concept that includes the core product, supplemental features, and symbolic and experiential benefits. Well, core product actually reflects what the customers are really buying. That's what we mean by core products. So if you look at Qantas, for instance, why people buy Qantas ticket? They buy Qantas ticket not because they want to get a piece of paper, but they want to fly from A to B. That is the core product. Okay, and then we also have the symbolic and experiential benefits, which is basically about the benefit that reflects the core product, and supplemental features or some other experts suggest it is also the augmented product, which is basically the additional service or benefit that we offer for the customers to enhance the experience in using the product. And we discussed the consumer market and business market. Here we also talk about consumer product and business product, basically. And here, if we zoom into consumer product, we have 4 product classification. The first one is the convenience product. which is basically, if you look at from consumer behavior perspective, consumers would use this product, consume this product, purchase this product on regular basis. Therefore, from distribution perspective, it has to be widely distributed, and from promotion perspective, it is normally using mass promotional efforts such as advertising campaign. Okay. And the next one is, well, in terms of convenience product, you can look at grocery products such as breakfast cereal, toothpaste, for instance. They are part of the convenience product. The next one is shopping product, where from consumer buying behavior perspective, it is not used on regular basis. So people use it less frequently, or purchase that less frequently. So you can consider clothes, for instance, clothes or mobile devices, mobile phone. You are not going to buy mobile devices every day. If you buy a mobile phone, you may buy it every few years after the contract is expired, for instance. And specialty product, which is basically quite premium, so luxury items such as fine crystals or Rolex watches, for instance, as part of the specialty product. And last one is unsold product. This kind of product is normally purchased. This product is normally have little awareness, even if the consumers are aware of it. They are going to buy it if they need to. Okay, if they don't have any other options. Okay, so therefore we say that it's purchased when a sudden problem must be solved, or they do not necessarily think of purchasing, basically, but they would do that if there is really no other option. Insurance business is part of them, and unsold product would normally adopt what we call the selling marketing management concept, where they would normally focus on large scale of selling and promotional efforts. Business product, we have several classifications as well, such as the installations, accessory, equipment, raw materials, and component parts. So there are some categories of business products. Okay? And the other ones include the process materials, MRO, supplies, maintenance, repair and operating items, and business services. Okay? And in product decision, we also discuss about the product item and product line. To help us understand our product as decision, please also go through the product mix, width of product mix, and depth of product mix. Okay? And this is basically giving you an illustration in terms of the product mix, width and depth applied to applied to Procter & Gamble products. So here we have the, if you look at that, this one here reflects the width of the product, or number of product lines that is reflected by the width. They have laundry detergent, toothpaste, bar soap, deodorants, shampoos, tissues, towels, fragrances. Okay, they reflect number of product lines or product width. Okay, whilst within the same product lines, they have varieties as well. Okay, that's what we call as the depth of the product, or product depth. Okay. Just in terms of product decision, we also need to look at the product life cycle, which is actually reflecting the sales and profit throughout the entire life of a product. Okay, some scholars suggest 4 stages of product life cycle. Some other scholars suggest 5 stages because they include product development. Your prescribed e-text suggests 4 of them, starting from the introduction stage. Okay. The introduction stage is basically reflecting when the product was introduced first. Okay, it begins when the product appears in the marketplace. Okay, now the important thing about product life cycle is the characteristics. The characteristics of each stage is different. Okay, these different characteristics will drive different possible marketing objectives, and eventually different marketing strategies. Okay, so in the introduction stage, the company is actually well, since the product just goes to the market, the sales is still quite low. Why is sales low? Well, because the awareness is still low. Okay, therefore the possible marketing objective in here is to stimulate the brand awareness and trial. Therefore, that will affect the marketing activities, the marketing mix variables for introduction stage. Okay. At growth stage, sales rise rapidly. Okay, since sales rise rapidly, the company would run profitable operation here. All right, cost per customer would drop. Okay, now since the sales rise rapidly, normally competitors would also be eyeing into that product category as well. Hey, why don't I join the band in there, right? Because this guy is running profitably, and I have the capability in here. I have the resources to compete, so it attracts competitors to come in. Okay, so from marketing objective perspective, the objective is actually to maximize your market share. Okay. What do we do? Well, we expand in terms of product strategy. We expand with the next version. We are going to be aggressive in terms of promotional activities as well. Okay? And that is actually a bit of diagram, if you like, in terms of sales and profit of the product life cycle. And if you look at that, the next one is basically after growth stage. The product that survives in the introduction stage will go to the growth stage. And after that, we have what we call the maturity stage. This is when a lot of competitors come in to that industry. All right. The other characteristic in here is our sales is at the highest, but the growth is slowing down. If you look at that, sales growth is flattening. Okay, why is that? Because we have competitors in here, all right, and our competitors may be able to establish their position in this industry as well. So kind of in bed with the enemy. Okay, so what do we need to do? What do we need to achieve? Our goal in here is actually to maximize profit whilst defending market share. Okay, that reflects what we need to do from marketing mix strategy perspective. Okay, and then we come to the declining stage where consumers may be able to find a different option to satisfy their needs with declining stage. In the declining stage, normally the top two or three brands survive in the market because they have the economies of scale in that industry. The other players would normally exit the category. Okay. So, what would be the objective in declining stage? Well, we need to maximize the profit, right? To milk the business for profit, so we can invest that back to introduce new product into the market. Okay, it also depends on the position in the market. If our position is the smallest, but if it is the only product that we have in the market, then we may want to be aggressive in our promotional campaign. Right, so there are two stages that we just discussed briefly, maturity stage and declining stage. Now, from consumer behavior perspective, we also understand that the product adoption process goes through the awareness, interest, evaluation, trial, and adoption. And experts suggest that with the digital marketing strategy, that process may be able to be a shortcut, basically, from awareness right through the adoption. Okay, and those who still adopt the traditional approach would normally try to shortcut the process of the new product launch, the new product adoption, by running sampling activities. For instance, when they do sampling activities, they actually try to induce the trial from consumers at the same time of awareness, interest, and evaluation. After that, they expect the consumers to adopt it. Okay? Right, so that's briefly about the product adoption process. And it is also interesting for us to look at the adopter categories. We have the 5 types of adopter categories based on Alfred M. Rogers study. Alfred M. Rogers is a sociologist, American sociologist. He conducted study, and he suggested there are 5 adopter categories. All right, innovators are basically the guys who are a group of people who are passionate about the innovation. They're so passionate about the innovation, so they may in fact help the marketing organizations to invest by purchasing the trial version of the product. Okay, and then the next one is the early adopters who choose the new product carefully. They adopt the new product carefully, and they normally have the charisma to influence the others. They may write blogs, for instance. They may give reviews on these products, and that will be influencing the others. Early majority are basically the guys, the group of people who adopt the product before the other people adopt it. Okay, before the average person adopt it. Okay, and the next one is the late majority. Late majority is the guys who are skeptical, and they normally adopt it after they find the other people adopt it. And the last one is the laggards. They are the last one to adopt the new product, and they're quite loyal to the current product that they use, but at some point of time they are aware, okay, must use the new one. Okay, and then they move. Okay, now if you look at the diagram, there's a diagram basically. The early majority and late majority control most of the volume. Okay, more than 60% of the volume comes from the early majority and late majority. However, the innovators and early adopters play a critical role. All right, so marketers would need to convince the innovators and early adopters so the product could move to the early majority. If they fail to convince the innovators and early adopters, it's hard for them to move on to the early majority. In product decision, you also need to look at the packaging, and there are some functions in terms of packaging. I'm not going to discuss them in more detail. Please go through your Presscraft e-text. And you also need to look at the cost of packaging and package changes, okay, and meet the regulation for compliance purpose, okay. Right, so they're basically the main ones I'd like to discuss for tonight's topic, and have a good one, and good luck.